What is going on YouTube? Background Way here. Forgot to do, the commander guide for the medium spenders, which is what I am. So that's what I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna try to rapid fire off a few more videos after that. This will be the last part to like the Master Governor series. I just wanted to honestly give people a introduction into the game, and I will talk about other concepts, but it'll be, you know, not in the playlist. But if you want to call it a continuation, a continuation. So let's see how I want to do this. A lot of these videos I don't have like a script. Sometimes I write some stuff down, but whatever. All of the same things honestly still apply in the early game. You know what you're probably going to be looking to do is to mess around with a couple of the epics. The same ones still apply for as if you were free to play. I think Sun Tzu is the best epic to mess around with. Joan for the buffs, and Boudica just in general. And then like that way you have a forts person. You know you can use Boudica for forts if you know don't get minor multi. I don't know why you wouldn't get them at least 5-5-1-1 if you're a medium spender. But let's say you didn't. Boudica's fine. Um, from there, I think you have quite a couple of options. Like, still, there's no reason not to do FO flat, right? Because it's literally free. I'm trying to get Belisarius to a point where I can use him. I think he's really good for barbs, primary or secondary. You can, because he's fast, right? Um, you bring all calves, which is something you probably want to do if you're barbing and a little bit later in the game. So he's a good guy. Super fast, can be good for Arco Osiris and stuff like that. CBO is an interesting choice. I'm really just using him for Canyon. So I like use some sculptures to get his first skill maxed, and then I'm letting him take his course. Something that might be accessible to you, especially if you're buying the bundles, the daily bundle. The South Side, you could probably get him 5-1-1-1, and that's a pretty good investment. You might be able to utilize him. Obviously, you can use him for barbs. You can also use him for damage. Because this is going to be the early game, he's actually pretty solid. I would stay away from all these guys. And then, like out of these guys, these other epics, I don't know. I think Herman's kind of a cool pick. He has Rage Gen, and he has some Mark Speed for some archers, and you compare him with ALC, and if you can get ALC to 5-1-1-1, that's good. But I would focus more on the cavalry commanders, because that's what a lot of people are running around, typically in the early game. So I think Pelagi is a phenomenal choice, has really good healing, really good increased cavalry stats, generates rage, does some respectable damage, just doesn't have the speed. If you're looking for speed, especially if you're running a Belisarius, Bars, he also has, AOE reduces the march speed, has some healing when you get out of combat, fast as hell once you get out of combat. He does attack cities, but you're not getting value from that skill, but these other skills are great. And then once you expertise him, he can hit 5 targets. Really good damage, and then decreases march speed. I think Osman can be a pretty interesting choice as a medium spender, just because you really can't output a lot of damage with the skill here, Sword of Osman. Like, if you can get somebody that has a rage engine, you can do some serious damage. I don't really like Kusunoki. I think he's just in a weird spot. Uji Mandak is okay because you compare him with all infantry with Sun Tzu, but I feel like at that point, you probably will have someone else. And then this is kind of like the next part of the video is because you have enough gems, right? You see my gems, right? I'm a medium spender. You're usually gonna have enough gems to pick and choose who you get from the wheel. So I want to talk a little bit about wheel commanders, and I'll switch to my other account so I can kind of illustrate that. Whew. Okay. I'll wait for it to load. My things over here ain't loading. Okay, there we go. Let's claim that real quick. So I think what is interesting, so like I recommend unlocking every character that comes from the wheel, which is first. And at the very least, it's, if you're medium spender, you're usually really trying to go for the sculptures, the legendary sculptures, which is why I recommend VIP 10. But like getting every wheel character, unlocking a character, it gives you the option to get an additional 10 more legendary sculptures for $5. And then like if you unlock the character, if it comes down the road, like this is a game some people can play for a year, 2 years, 3 years. You don't never know how long you're gonna play. You might decide that, or for whatever reason, like an old character becomes a lot better because of the nature of the new season, or whatever the case may be. I don't think it's like that right now. But let's say you decided to invest in a character that came out way back when, and you could have got him from the wheel, which is generally a little bit cheaper than Card King, or you can always get a character from Card King, but I think the wheel gives you better value on average. So unlocking a character for, I think it's like somewhere around 10,000, maybe a little bit more gems, unlocks the character, $5 more, gives you 10 more legendary sculptures because you unlock the character, right? So I think that that's valuable. And the first person that I would get is Richard, and Richard falls off, in the late game, in the super late game. Once you've been playing for a year, a little bit over a year, right, in the Kingdom's life. But I will say, like, his expertise is good, but it's I don't think it's like as strong, or as it is strong, but it's not a requirement to kind of get some pretty good benefit from the character. In fact, the biggest benefit you're going to get from him is from the first skill, and from the first two skills really, but honestly the main thing is the first skill, and then like the second skill just makes it better because now you're taking less damage, so your healing means a lot more because you're taking way less damage, and you can kind of tank a little bit better. And then the third skill is infantry, and its last skill, half of it you're not going to use, and then it's just an augmentation of the first skill. So I think this is a pretty good investment. If you want to spend this, the first wheel that you can spend, so you probably have a little bit more gems to play around with. I would recommend spending him some. I would say enough to get the first skill maxed, right? I'm doing 45 spins on him because I am an infantry player, so I do want a fair bit of his sculptures, but I'm not going to go all in, like max spin his wheel, per se, up to 100. Some people do farther than that. All I want to do is just maybe get the first skill max, and maybe have, an upgrade or two on the second skill. That's good enough for me to start as far as I want my gems to go. And I think that's a really good investment. Even if you just get him 5-1-1-1, right? He can do solid work, and he's like usable. At the 5-5-1-1, he's really good. And then at the 5-5-5-1, I wouldn't take him past that. I don't think the expertise is as important. But if you did want to spend, I think it's like the 380 sculptures or some ish number around there to get the first three skills max. I think that's a really good investment. But if you just wanted to have the character, and I think honestly use him because he's so good in the early game, because nothing really counters healing, I would recommend getting that first skill, then just upgrade them, and then like that's room for future investment if you do decide you want to have a more of a tanky infantry person. I honestly think Charles Martel is better, but he comes from gold keys, so it's going to take some time. This is how far I got with Charles Martel without putting any universals into him. So, you know, there you go. So it does take some time to get Charles Martel online. You need the first two skills max for him. Ooh, just to give you a comparison. Okay, and then this is who the first character I would go all in on. I think Max spinning his wheel is really, really important, because the idea is that you're going to have to expertise this character, because you get a circle AoE around you for your active skill, which is extremely important for your base defense. In the garrison defense and other defenses, he is archers, and I think a lot of the archer commanders good ones don't come out until later, but that's okay. This dude doesn't even have to be paired with archers. He cares about archers a little bit, and they do pretty good damage, But I wouldn't, that's only half of this skill here. Really good damage factor, restores rage. He does increase your garrison's attack, and then his skill damage is like nutty, right? He's just really straightforward character, and then he has the when you expertise him, he has the AOE. So that's 10 sculptures to unlock and 690 sculptures to expertise. So because like I was saying before, if you do invest in Richard, that kind of hurts you because YSG comes up, later depending on how much you're spending. So if you wanted to choose between the two, I would say that YSG is the better option. But I will say that just getting this last skill or the last 4 skill ups, it costs as much as the first 3. So or just about. So it's like really hard for the expertise. So you might get the character, if you max spin the wheel, you could probably get, the 5-5, 1-1 or something, maybe a 5-3 or something around there close to it, maybe 5-2 at least. And then maybe you get these first 2 skills max, maybe use a few universals on it, and then take them out to 3 to 4 stars to get all the 4 abilities, and then you, over time slowly get these other 2 skills where they need to be, and then expertise them a little bit later once you get more sculptures. Okay, and then up next is Saladin and Khan, and I recommend so Saladin is a Mighty Governor commander, so unless you really want this combo early on, just get it from Card King. I know it's a little bit more expensive, but Card King is a great option for Mighty Governor commanders because it's going to be really hard to get their sculptures. As a medium spender, like you might be able to steal an event, their silly event here or there, if you're like planning for it months ahead of time, right? Because you're not shelling out serious cash all the time. But now Khan does come from the wheel, and I think the Saladin Khan combo is really powerful if you can get your hands on both commanders. But like, let's say you just got Khan, right? You could pair him with an epic commander like Pelagius that does have some type of rage regeneration. You can pair him with somebody that's fast. He is kind of squishy, so what makes the Saladin Khan so good is because Saladin has a lot of the tankiness to him. And then also he has a support tree, which is a good rage engine. Like say, if you wanted this combo, like go for him, and maybe you don't do Richard because you're a Cav player. I would still unlock Richard for the 11,000 gems. I recommend unlocking everybody, just so you can get more sculptures, and you leave the option open to invest into them later. But if you want Khan, you can go for Khan instead of Richard, and that'll make it so you don't need so many gems in the upfront life of the kingdom. Now, if you were infantry, or archers for that matter, maybe you ignore these 2. But if you're an archer player, I could kind of see the argumentation for you picking up both of these because the next archer commander doesn't come till later, and I don't think these are the ones you want to get as a medium spender. I think these are the ones you want to get as a medium spender down here, so you have tons more time. So now, if you're an infantry player, you got to get both of these. He comes from Mighty Governor. Maybe you go all in on one of the Constantine. Alexander the Great is a must. He, has usefulness throughout the game. Good march speed. There's not a lot of march speed available for infantry. Martel gives you 20% when he's expertise. This is 30%, and it's just the 3rd skill. That's a lot easier to work with. Very supporty. So while he will do pretty good damage, he's not like 100%. You know, all damage. He has some supporting aspects, and then when you expertise him, he makes the enemy, take way more damage. It's legit to expertise him as well. You don't have to expertise him though if you didn't want to. I think a 5-1-1-1, even as a free to play, is like okay. I think you want to get him 5-5-1-1 because that's where a lot of the damage is at, right? And if you really want to focus in on infantry, the 5-5-5-1 is definitely where it's at. Mainly because of the march speed, like that increased speed is going to help you out so much. Constantine is a great commander for support and garrison. You know, very tanky, has support abilities, um, increases infantry health like no tomorrow. Crazy cool ability with the healing, and also the garrison. You don't have to get them expertise. You know, increased attack, 5% defense, so 20% of stats. You know, and it's on anybody you bring. You know, it's not terrible, but it's not a requirement. You can focus on straight infantry just with the first two skills. You know, he is Mighty Governor Commander, so you might not get a lot of his sculpture. Maybe you get it from Card King. You know, so it's like 12,000 gems or so to unlock, and then to guarantee to unlock, and then maybe you put in the 190 sculptures to get the first two skills max and leave the rest at 1-1. I think that's okay as a medium spender. I think that's okay. I can't speak on these two commanders. I think these two commanders go hand in hand. They're really good together. And I also think that they're more for rallying stuff as opposed to, you know, doing what a media spender would do, and that's not really rallying stuff. Charlemagne is about attacking cities. No, Uzentian, and these come from KVK. So I mean, you might unlock them anyway. You know, if you're doing crushing KVK. She is good for the defense. Garrison. That's all she does is like really good garrison. And then here's the thing with Attila Takeda, they're like a big rally pair. You know, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend getting these commanders. You know, you still get them. Investing in them is what I say really far, because I really think that they're reserved for kind of your bigger hitters. You can still unlock them. Maybe they're appetizing you, but I think the Saladin Khan is like fine. Like you can use that now. It is kind of squishy, but you're hiding behind the Saladin, so you know. And then maybe you get one, but like this is more about skill damage, and this is more about normal attacks. So it's like these kind of go hand in hand, and this is like a different type of damage. So it's kind of weird to mix and match them. I don't want to speak too much on cavalry because that's not my expertise. Um, I'm infantry, so like the Guan Yu, I'm gonna pick up, and I haven't decided exactly. Maybe I don't even. Well, I'm gonna unlock every character Guan. The thing with the Guan Yu with leveling up is that the second skill doesn't mean shit to me. Attacking strongholds and cities, I'm never gonna do that. So it's like I'll do like the infantry march speed, like the healing factor, attack, right? And I have Alexander the Great, probably expertise or YSG expertise at this point. It's just a weird character for me, you know, because how I'm going to invest, I'm going to damn near have to expertise him. Most likely because of the second skill being something I don't want, right? So you end up being expertise, and then that kind of hurts me because my gripe with the archers is that they're too damage focused, and up until this point, and they don't give me enough benefit. But like the Ramses, I am interested in, even though I'm infantry. I do want to have something else that I can bring, and by the time Ramses come out, I'm gonna be in a good shape. I like the Leonidas. You know, I think he works well with Guan as a secondary. Got the rage. He has, because Guan's, squishy. This guy has the defense. I don't know. Right? But these are characters I would look at. I would look more so at, and this is by this point, by the time Ramses come out, you can make your own decisions on who you want at that point. I think that having that plan to go in all in on a few commanders is better. I would recommend YSG like 100% YSG for sure. Even if you're not an infantry player, I think Alexander for sure. Um, he just does too much stuff. He does too much damage. He has a shield. He can get allies. He makes the other enemy team take more damage. I like a lot of what he does. In the same way, I think Constantine is really good. He's the opposite of that, right? He really makes you tank. Reduces the attack. For 5 seconds, which is a long ass time. It reduces the damage by 10%. That, especially if everybody's running something a little bit squishy, more damage focused. That's legit, man. That's 100% legit. And support tree to fire that off a lot. That's like super legit. He's tanky as hell with this health. All infantry. I don't know. He's a mighty governor commander, so that's what makes it tough. Because Alexander, you can get your hands on guaranteed, and this guy, you can only get him from Card King later guaranteed. I think those are the only ones I would say like you have to have. I kind of feel like Salin is a nice cavalry commander to have. Cavalry up until this point is very squishy, right? So I really like the Salin and I want him, but then the mighty governor, it's hard to win those. And since I'm going for him, then and they're right after each other. That's tough. It's tough to save up, amount that you would need to guarantee the W. You don't want to get no, 20th place. You really want to get first place in Mighty Governor. At least one to three, right? To get enough sculptures to make it worth like what you did. So that's what I would go for, in an early game. Like everybody gets YSG, even if you don't focus on archers. He's good regardless. If you want, cavalry, focus on these guys. You want infantry, focus on these guys. Maybe a wee bit into Richard. Archers, like I say, I don't really recommend these two for medium spenders. Because you got to kind of get both of them to make it like a really strong combo. I think archers are really gonna be at once you get to the Ramses and Artemisia. I think that's when the archers like get good, like real good. His expertise is really really good. If it gets timed right, no healing for 2 seconds, none. Not even reduced, none. Right, depending on when that pops off, that's some serious shit. He has a pretty cool. He's like archer and attack, not skill, so that's pretty interesting. And then right, Artemisia is mighty governor. So you gotta kind of pick and choose when you're doing that. But that's what I would go for. At this point, by the time you get to here, you should know what you're doing. So I'm not even gonna talk about that. But that's what I would recommend for mess around with the epics for the early game, and then because you're not like using your legendary sculptures, messing around with epics, and they're easier to level up, right? And stars easier to get versus messing a lot more with these other guys. Like leave these guys alone. I can kind of see the argumentation for the LC at YSG. Okay, fine. That's pretty strong for what you got, and that first KVK. That's pretty good. But unless you're going balls to the wall on archers, and you're gonna try to get these archer commanders, those, and I don't even recommend these, then I don't know. That's what I recommend. Commanders that you should invest in as medium spender, depending on who you are. I would focus on maybe one or two march types. Maybe you have like an infantry march and try to work on an archer march, or infantry cavalry. I think everybody should have cavalry in general, right? A cavalry march for just the speed factor, but you don't necessarily have to. That doesn't have to be like the main thing. Focus on when you're fighting on the battlefield. I just think that cavalry is something that you need to have in your back pocket for the speed. So there you go. Hopefully this made you a master governor. See you in the next video.